Are you ready? Oh, you're filming the answer.
August 20th, 2024, meeting of the Metro County Commission and some borders. Four commissioners are here present in the room, and Commissioner Rusted is on Zoom. We will start with a pledge of allegiance to be. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the last meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Ross, Commissioner Hagan seconded. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Then, the next item is the order of agenda. Commissioner Hagan, do you have
Yeah,
anything to make?
I looked into the county engineer, for our first item before all student system
Before or after?
before.
Okay. And right after the consent agenda. All right. So you make a motion to. Second?
Second.
Mr. Ross?
Go back.
Quick today. So all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Yeah. The approval of the consent agenda consists of bills, employee status changes, overtime, the July financial report, and out-of-state travel item. Would any commissioner like anything both to discuss, item and vote?
I'll move approval to the consent agenda.
When repeats, will to approve, and second by Commissioner Hagan. All in favor of that motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. All right, then we will go with, county engineer will be with that, as 5F on the agenda.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for adjusting the agenda here so I can get to my child's school event. So thank you very much. Don't ask for that very often. Few things for you today. First two decisions and the last one is just make the board aware of the situation. So the first one would be is well, both two agreements here before you would be for some bridge projects you got going on. So a couple of years ago, we applied for a number of bridge projects with the state of North Dakota, and some of them were selected, and we're working through a lot of those. Some are being built already, some are in the works. Due to bid pricing and inflation challenges, a lot of the projects have been moved out in time. Another part of that is some of the projects we were converting to low water crossing, but for members, the DOT can no longer fund those, so we're trying to do those ourselves. And those are still in the works. Well, part of this same conglomerate of projects is so you go to the next page, please. Scroll down, please. Okay. This is real quick. So that bridge right there, which is 12612. Was selected to get replaced. It's a 16-ton bridge on a township road. We were gonna replace it. That is scheduled in either 26 or 27 for replacement. Well, there's more to the story as we work through it. Ms. Nelson, could you go to a couple pages down? Next one. So as we're working through this, we realized, perfect. There's 3 bridges in this area. Roll up just a fish, please. Back down. Okay, right there, Sam. Okay, there's 3 bridges on this page, and the one that's labeled the 12612 to, that's the one that was originally selected to get replaced. Well, the bridge to the upper right in the corner called the Hendrickson Bridge, because that's who lives there, that's also a very poor bridge as well too. And the bridge to the west is still fair, but it's not too far from port. So we have, with KLJ engineers and myself, we're thinking, well, hey, what if we could do something to take care of all three of these bridges at one time? So we come up with an idea that, well, what if we put in, instead of big expensive bridges, you know, we're talking $2 million a pop probably. What if we put in a couple big culverts to handle the low flow and then build a diversion ditch on the north side of the road? And then, that cuts off access to his field. And in exchange for that, the north bridge, the Hendrickson Bridge was replaced as well too, that's still get access to the farmer's field. So we pitched that idea to the DOT, so of course now you're having three structures, however, two of them would be cheaper. You need a DOT, Army Corps, Water Commission, Water Resources. Just say, what are the possibilities of doing this, you know? And they all kind of come to a conclusion to be okay, or a decent idea from their standpoint. DOT sends an email on, well, June 28th now, that they proposed a different funding formula for it. So instead of the project being 100% state federal funded, they would fund the construction costs if the county took care of the diversion ditch and the engineering costs. Still a good deal for us. So I met with the one landowner, that was where the diversion ditch is, really not in favor of it. And a little background for the board, this whole area is extremely hot. I say the water, the flooding problems along the Turtle River from Mackinac through Manville up to Oslo is very contentious. A lot of history and a lot of problems. It floods a lot. So then we come up with an option to basically bypass it all. It's now since you flip a couple pages, that one. Well, what if we just build a road around all that? Skip the bridges and go around and potentially eliminate those two or keep one of them for field access, whatnot. So that's on the table too. I haven't visited with those landowners yet, but these are things we're working on behind the scenes to just try and take care of structure, maintain access, keep the peace, keep, you know, all the landowners involved. I've met with some of the township supervisors on this. But not all of them. So if there's some in the room that I don't know about, maybe you've heard about, maybe you haven't. But so the DOT is being very cooperative and flexible with us on this. And so if, as we're working through this, if you might ask the board member to get involved in some meetings, because this is controversial to these folks with the flooding situation, but that's an update of what we're working on behind the scenes. My request for today is there's a contractor tailgate to get going on the engineering and permitting side and planning side of this contract, which includes all of it. We don't know exactly what the job will entail, which structures are involved. So we're trying to figure out that scope of work based on what the appetite from the public is. So my request would be specifically is to consider the cost share as proposed on the second page proposed by the DOT. They would potentially pay for 100% of the construction. If we paid for all the permitting and engineering. And this is over a 3-year period, and then specifically today to get KLJ's contract going for the preliminary design engineering services. At a minimum, if we can't get anybody to agree to a bigger grandiose scale, we go back to the original plan, we just replace the one bridge. And in that case, then the project would be cheaper, but we're still swinging for the fences and trying to take care of all three if we can. And hopefully saving money in the long run.
So are you talking about 361,000 for the study?
Correct.
And where does that come from?
Our budget.
Have you budgeted for that?
We have.
Oh, all right, so
Yes.
it's not, we don't have to amend budgets or anything to do it.
No.
Okay. Questions?
Or I'm making a motion to approve.
For a second?
I have a question, if you don't mind, Mr. Chair. Is there opposition to this from landowners or maybe anybody in the room as unfortunately I'm on Zoom. I'm just curious if there are folks that have an issue with the probability of this, because it's a kind of a high dollar amount for a study, in my opinion.
Well, it includes, the contract is the design of the projects as well. So
Oh,
it's more, it's the study to figure out exactly what we're doing and to design the project. And yes, there are people that are not gonna like it. I've already visited with the one landowner that. I don't know where I should face here, if you can see me, Commissioner Rusted, but, yeah, the landowner, with the proposed diversion ditch, I call it, bypass channel. I met with him, he's not a fan of it.
so would this be sort of an eminent domain situation if he's unwilling to give up that property?
If we chose to push that, it might have to be. I'm still hoping we can negotiate with them and come to some agreeable solution that if we did something else or change the design a little bit or found a solution he'd be happy with. That it's not 100% no yet. Still optimistic about that. Preliminarily, he's like, well, I'm not a big fan of it, so.
So he's a
Yeah.
casual no, but there's a chance that, you know, with the right planning and whatnot, he could become more softer on it, is what I'm reading between the lines.
Correct, and that's me being very optimistic about it, to be honest with you. Yes,
Is it just the one landowner, or are there others that are in opposition?
I've only visited with that one so far.
Yeah.
But he was the primary one affected, that's why I started with him. I just haven't got to the other ones yet.
Thanks, Nick.
You're welcome.
I have a question before we go to move on. So what portion of the study of 361,000 would be spent on before we find out whether it's a wasted effort? Would they actually be paying them to design the diversion ditch before we know that we have an agreement to put in a diversion ditch, for example?
No, we would not do that. We would figure out what the scope of work is. Before we did that. And most of that falls on me, frankly, to find that balance with the public. Well, it's page. It's in the attachment here, I guess, Commissioner, Chairman, they don't have that specific number broken out. They have hydraulics and the geometrics and the reports to do it and the permitting.
So if we approve the request for engineering services up to that amount, would you come back to us before significant amount of that is spent? What's your plan for that?
My plan is before KLJ significantly gets going on detailed design, is we work it out with the landowners prior, okay? So we don't waste time. Or waste money.
We have a motion on the table. Should we post table the motion until you get back to some of that, or would you prefer to have this motion granted so you can work with KLJ now for some lesser things?
Well, it would be nice to have some of their services on board, so I can run some preliminary hydraulics and show folks what the impacts might be. I think that's what it's gonna take. If they help us through the process, but I'll be the one mostly negotiating with landowners and visiting with them.
Has it prompted any other questions from the board? No. Satisfied with the approach? All right. Commissioner Rossett, any other questions?
I guess one more question. So if Commissioner Rost's motion were to pass, does that give the landowner / potentially landowners that dispute this, any recourse, or is it type of deal where this close to $400,000 is just gonna get spent? And then, I guess I wasn't entirely clear on the explanation.
Well, you would not be going to spend $361,000 at this point. You might use that for some things.
Correct.
Will you come back to us with the report before you do any design services or have them do the design?
I certainly can. That'd be easy enough. Yeah,
Does that satisfy everybody?
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that'd be a good request. We could do that.
Okay. All right, hearing no further discussion, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. The next item,
Okay, so, yeah, the next item would be, the bridge being built on County Road 5 as we speak, which is how we have done. The DOT has changed our funding formula on it. We're back to the original grant application, so. The original grant was, they were gonna give us $1,250,000. And then after that, 100%, they pay the first $1.25 million, after that it'd be an 80-20 split. Then they came and said, no, we'll give you $2 million, and then 80-20 after that. Well, somewhere in the cross line, there's an email from the DOT in here as well too, they explain where. In those crosshairs with working between the state and federal highway administration. They were too late in changing funding formula. So the federal highway would not approve. The better funding formula. So we're back to the original. And so they're asking for our concurrence, which I don't know if we really have much of a choice. I don't know what happened if we said no.
Let's try it.
I don't, yeah, just don't know what would happen here, but, anyway, we're back to the original funding formula, which costs us an additional $150,000, but. We can swing it in our budget and move things around. So,
so are you looking for a motion to approve
Yeah.
this amendment?
So moved. Second.
Guess that answers that question. Any further discussion or questions for Mr. West? Mr. Rusted? Anything?
No, I'm an I.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the amendment on this contract. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passed.
thank you.
One more item?
Yeah, the last item I have for the board isn't a decision, it's more of just to make you aware. There's an initiative right now. At the state level. That, to reduce the risk on counties, excuse me, the burden of counties on county roads, the state. Might take over some county roads and make them state highways. And the next page has a map. Of a screenshot of a computer of what that could look like. Now, this is very preliminary. Rumor has it it's gonna be part of the governor's budget proposal to the state legislature. This comes from the Association of Counties, so it's not like it's super secret or anything, but I don't know if it's been advertised real well, but. Just to make the board aware that this initiative is going to be before the state legislature this coming session. And the only road I can tell on here that could possibly be affected is County Road 3. From Amarillo to State 15. So,
Do you have an opinion on that at this point, or are you just gonna wait and see?
well, wait and see, it's really out of our hands, but yeah, sure, great, go ahead, take it. You know, and we just overlaid it, so it's a great road, but
Right.
culverts are pretty fair shape. One of our better roads, but maybe that's why they want it. But
And you're.
Did you talk him into County Road 5, Nick?
I did make that pitch already, Commissioner Rusted. I said that County 5, County 6 loop around town would be really nice. Yeah,
Mr. Chair.
I can elaborate on this. This came from a phone call that Mr. West and I had with Aaron Burst about the Highway 2 County 5 intersection. As we get ready to enter into the legislative session. And so that's how we became aware of this. Actually, Mr. Burst did inquire about County Road 5, and Mr. West and I both said, yeah, let's put that on there. It just alleviates some burden. It's got a fiscal note attached to it. It's gonna be pushed out of the governor's office in the next session.
We'll watch and see.
Yeah.
So, that was just for our information at this point then.
Correct.
All right. Anything else that you have?
That is all I have. Our township grant project started today. Traveling down in Michigan Township, so that started, so that's good. Otherwise, crews are doing well. We're hammering a lot of bridges, having a good summer. Once we got past June.
So that's my gravel coming for the fairgrounds,
Um,
the jail.
hasn't come yet. I haven't heard yet,
Okay,
but it's on the list.
okay.
Same contractors doing this project.
Oh, All right,
So maybe after that.
okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda is a memorandum of understanding with Altru. Will you tell us your name, please? And you got up for you?
I know her.
Hello, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, my name is Brittany Blake, I work at Altru Health System. I'm here with my colleague Erin Navarro, who's the director of pharmacy. She knows a lot more about pharmacy than I do, but I'll be the spokesperson today. So, I believe starting on page 72, we've provided 4 different documents. One would be a document providing the background of the request for the MOU or memorandum of understanding. 2 would be a letter to Ms. Wamstead from Erin, the director of pharmacy at our organization. 3 would be a document providing information about this federal drug pricing program. And 4 would be the proposed MOU itself. So first, I'll just give a little brief summary. In 2010, Altru established our 340B drug program, which enables us to purchase outpatient drug at a discounted price directly from the manufacturer. This is a federal program, and it's really a requirement of the pharmaceutical manufacturers who are participating in Medicaid to sell outpatient drugs at a discounted price to eligible health systems. There are some requirements to be an eligible health system, and we've successfully been one of those eligible health systems since 2010. Then the discount or the money the savings would be used or must be used to provide certain things. So for example, free care for indigent individuals, to establish a med management program or like a prescription assistance program. Another example would be free vaccinations and things like this. So for example, in 2023, Altru was able to provide financial assistance to more than 1,000 individuals in the county because of the savings from this program. The request today would be to continue to be in compliance with this program. One of the compliance requirements is to have a memorandum of understanding of this commitment with a local government. One being the county, because we do have a spread, we've got clinics in the region, etc. So serving the entire county. So that would be our request today, and I'm happy to answer any questions, but if they're drug related, I'll ask my colleague to come on.
All right, everybody have an understanding of what they're asking?
I would move approval of signing the MOU.
Second,
Motion and Mr. Rusted to the second. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimous.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you
time.
for coming in and explaining.
you.
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Thank you.
Mr. Phelan. City Administrator.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the county commission. What you have in front of you is we're requesting the grant that the county submitted, TDA grant, which is an economic development administration federal grant. So we, got, on this grant as an opportunity to, improve some of the infrastructure. And so we did, reach out to our original EDA rep. And they suggested, this project that's in front of you would be a good opportunity for funding. So this funding came out of a disaster in the state of North Dakota, which Grand Forks County was included. And really the grant is to try to rebuild the economy and not just put things back together in the midst of a disaster. And I think our disaster was the next storm, is what it was in 2023. So thankfully, I guess, and the upside is that we're one of the counties included, so we got this opportunity to stand this grant. The funding that's out there is available until it's gone, and so, there's not like a deadline per se, other than first, the line is gone, it's gone. And so, based on their direction, we worked on this grant, on behalf of the city, we hired AWS to help us, get this across the finish line, so really, this, when we discussed what was the best project. This is 70th Avenue North, and this is from Highway 81 to North 69th Street, which is otherwise known as the landfill road. So this is the road that would be the primary road in and out of the Pinwee Energy Site, which is a soybean production facility. And they thought that was best because there was an economic development opportunity in the area. It was agribusiness related. And that this would fit their qualifications, best. So it is about I think it's about almost a $4 million project. It's an 80-20 cost share, which is a pretty big cost share. On the 20%, the city would, undertake, likely with the Pinwee Energy and likely with a future, special assessment. Why are we asking the county to submit this? Because it's settlement county. So, the city has not annexed, like the intention, 70th, and I think 55th is the north-south road. We have not annexed the Pinwee Energy site, which would be likely about 100-acre site, just to the north of 7th Avenue. So that's where the plant would be located. And if you want to kind of know what the size and scale of this facility, you just have to drive, as you drive on by Castleton. 994, essentially our soybean crushing facility will be plus or minus, what that looks like. That's being constructed and just opened up. I did speak with, Mr. Dennis Egan about where they're at. We do have a development agreement. You know, as they say in this world, the only thing that's, certain in this world is uncertainty. So they think they're gonna move forward with the project. 2 of the 3 are now up and running, one in Spearwood outside of Jamestown, one's operating now in Castleton, this will be the 3rd one. And so they're relatively optimistic. The cost has gone up with the facility, so now it's valued at about $525 million facility, so it's real money at this point. And so they're still going on to get debt financing and equity investment, so they need about a 50-50% on both. So they feel confident that they're gonna get the equity. And they feel confident about that, and they have gotten approval from the state of North Dakota for solid waste tax exempt bonding of about 140 million, I think. And so they're well on their way on the debt financing. It's just fees and equity partners, and they feel better about that. They think they're going to have a goal on this project, give us the green light that they're ready to go, likely in the first quarter of next year, likely in January. And so we anticipate hearing word on this particular grant because obviously the federal government's got to get these funds expended likely by the end of the year. So give word that either we got the grant or we didn't. And so I think by the end of the year or early next fall, we'll better on yes, Pinwee Energy is going forward. It is an all-weather concrete road that would serve them as part of going into the facility and coming out as part of the maintenance plan. There are some other roads that we're going to have to put water, sewer, wastewater to fuel science, all told will buy $30 to $40 million invested outside infrastructure that will be responsible for it. And as part of that, bring that infrastructure and will this is kind of a first thing where we have a funding opportunity. The rest of the roads that we'll need to get improved, we'll work with North Dakota DOT. Hopefully gets the cost shares on those elements. So with that, that's our request today that you would submit it. If we do hear word that we did get the grant, I think we'll have to call the Pinwee Energy at that point in time, but we can't win unless we get the grant submitted. And I think it'll be a decision point back with either the county commission or the city council if we want to accept this grant, but they're good with us submitting in advance. And for their,
I have a question about the cost share. Does the city assume that entirely?
yeah,
Or you're asking us to-
the city will assume the 20% cost share in some form or fashion, yeah.
That makes it easier for us.
Yeah, we just see, because it's still in the county, that the city of Van, and you are the, oh, we can't submit a project that's not within the city grant. But we do, obviously, the city doesn't intend that. If the project moves forward to, annex this property. There is another agribusiness opportunity that may look in this area. And they're also looking at an alternative site that looks really quite promising. And so if Permian Energy moves forward like we want to, and this other opportunity, you know, we could have over $1 billion of agribusiness development going on over the next couple of years. So it could be a really exciting time in Grand Forks with 2 new businesses. So we'll see what happens. So let's hope it wins well for them.
Question? Paige?
Prior to annexation of that property, you will be including the county engineer dealing with roads and bridges or whatever needs to be done.
I think we have working with Mr. West. I obviously on even on this grant.
So
He's always enjoyed working with.
Sure. I'm sorry. But
So no, we're thankful for Mr. West.
so what kind of approval do you need from us, just a vote recommending that you go forward, or do you want, is there a memorandum you need signed or what?
No, I think we just need you, the county commission authorize, the submittal grant.
Any further questions?
So I would make a motion to
Mr.
approve the grant application.
No, second.
Pete, second. And hearing no further questions or discussion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah,
Thank you, Liz.
thank you. Magnuson. Is, well, Mr. Wilkerson here?
Good afternoon. I'm Bob Wilkes. I'm here with my wife, Audie. First, I'd like to thank you for hearing me, letting me speak. And I'd also like to thank all the friends and family that came to support what's going on. My wife and I have always had horses. And as they grew old and as they passed, we decided that life would be much easier if we lived in town. Because winters in North Dakota can be a little challenging in the country, especially with animals. We listed our property on sale on June in 2023, on Zillow, and we quickly had a contract for sale. Well, the sale and the buyer backed out at closing and they didn't tell us why. So then we listed with Prairie Real Estate. We had 2 buyers back out at closing. And we're like, well, their financial institutions backed out due to the zoning. We learned at that time that an appraisal was almost impossible to get because of the zoning. We also had a cash buyer that dropped out because of the restrictions because of the zoning. We were pretty confident that we listed it, that we were gonna sell it, so we liquidated all our lawn equipment, all our snow removal equipment. Well, that didn't happen, so I did have to buy a, expensive 0-turn mower just to mow the grass. In September 2023, we discovered that the property had been rezoned by Grand Forks County in 2006. And we were never notified. I find it inconvenient that the 2 families that were affected out of 70,000 people in Grand Forks County, that we weren't notified of something of this magnitude. That it was stated that it was put in the newspaper, that you have to subscribe to in order to get the notification if you read the legal little pages in the back of the paper. When we discovered this, my wife contacted Lane Magnuson. And Lane informed her, yes, no new construction, no repairs on existing outbuildings if you have to hire a contractor, i.e. get a building permit. No upgrading the house if you need to use a building permit. And if he stated that if he found out that we'd done any of this, he'd have it torn down. He further stated that they figured that we could just live there, and that's where he ended the sentence. Or until, you know, and that's where he ended the sentence, he just let it hang. And then my wife informed him, well, we moved out because we knew we were gonna sell it, we're living in a condo, a rented condo in town. And when that came out, he said, well, and since you abandoned the property, we'll just condemn. Oh, then he dropped that right there. So I did a little bit more research. And what I found is that what Grand Forks County did when doing this, changing the zoning this in this manner, in eminent domain law, that's called a regulatory taking. The zone is the Airfield Preservation District now. And it's on chapter 30, page 152 in the Grand Forks zoning resolution. That's where it starts. That's what it explains it all there. Knowing that it had something to do with the Grand Forks Air Force Base, I reached out to Senator Kramer's office. I spoke with Nicole Peltzer at Senator Kramer's office, and she did a little research. And one of the interesting things she found out was that people that are in similar situations around the country with this same zoning restriction, they don't pay property taxes at all. Yet our property taxes increase every year. And we've been paying them since 2003 when we bought the property. And of course, I also learned during this research that it wasn't the airbase so much as they may have asked the county to change the zoning, but the county is the condemning official, the condemning authority in the eminent domain. Well, the Fifth Amendment of the US Constitution provides that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. The 14th Amendment of the Constitution provides that no state shall make or enforce any law that shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. I received no notification. I received no day in court. I received no due process, but yet my property was taken in a regulatory manner. Grand Forks County violated our civil rights under Colorado law. Section 42 of the United States Code 1983 provides for a civil remedy entitled, and 18 United States Code 242 provides a criminal charge, which highlights the seriousness of this subject as far as the federal government is concerned. What we are requesting is that Grand Forks County just simply do the right thing. Condemn our property under eminent domain and pay us fair market value so that we can move out of the country, move to town, and continue with our life. The fact that you can't get an honest appraisal because of the zoning, the only recourse we have to look at what the current market value is number one, what we previously had agreements by people to buy the property for, and number two, the market analysis. The current market analysis for our property is slightly over $300,000. So I'm looking for, I'd like $300,000, and I would also like a relief from property taxes from 2006 to present, which is approximately $19,800. I know that this property, due to its location, is much more valuable as a commercial property than it is as a horse property or as a farmstead or as a residential property. Due to the proximity where we are between the Grand Forks Air Force Base and Grand Skies, and the fact that there is no other land available for anything out there. And I know that Grand Skies would like to do some expansion off the US Air Force Base campus. So I like that. I know that that's a valuable property, but I do believe that Grand Skies can't acquire it directly from us. I don't understand exactly how that works. But that's all I have, but I did want to point out that, we have a couple here that's, their farm is in the same zone. And they're affected like we are with a very similar situation. And they're going through it as well. And that's all I have, and I just wanted to thank you. If you have any questions?
Ms. Wamstead, have you been made aware of this situation before? Ms. Wamstead is our state's attorney, and obviously, can't just hear all of it today and make
Oh, I
a decision,
understand.
and we're gonna do something. We have to go through this carefully, so.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, thank you. I did have an opportunity to visit with Commissioner Rusted about this. I believe it first came to his attention and he shared with me the information provided by, I'm sorry, was it Wilkinson? Okay, thank you. And I did have an opportunity to review that. While I completely understand his concerns, I don't think it rises to the level of a legal regulatory taking. To very briefly summarize, in order for a zoning change to be considered a regulatory taking, it has to almost entirely eliminate any use of the property. And I don't think this situation quite rises to that situation. With that said, it would be, the board's decision as to whether or not you wish to act on Mr. Wilkerson's request.
I've got a quick question though. What is the zoning restriction that caused the problem? We don't have that in front of us. I'll read it, of course.
Well, what the problem is that, financial institutions, they won't loan on the property
But why?
because you can't build a house
Okay, and why can't you build a house?
because of the zoning restrictions.
Will you explain the restriction?
Okay,
That keeps that from happening?
chapter 30 of the Grand Forks County zoning resolution. Chapter 30-2, permitted uses. In addition to other uses specifically identified elsewhere in the resolution, the following is permitted in APD, Air Preservation District. Agricultural uses in buildings as defined by this resolution. Drainage system, flood control, watershed structure, erosion control meeting all county, state, federal standards, railroad right of way. Permitted accessory uses. In addition to other uses specifically identified elsewhere in this resolution, the following are permitted accessory uses in APD. Buildings and structures customarily incidental and directly related to the uses allowed as permitted conditional interim administrative permit in this chapter, subject to applicable regulation of this resolution. Fences, signs, as regulated by chapter 11. Sale of agricultural seed accessory in an ongoing farming operation. Special uses. In addition to other uses specifically identified, the following special uses.
Okay, excuse me though. In addition to the, why, where does it say there can't be a home on there since there already is one?
Because that's just it. It doesn't, but the banks won't finance it. Because first, in here, it says that, you can't build anything over 35 feet tall. Okay, I get that, but the buildings there now are taller than that, and the trees are certainly taller than that. I bet some of the little cottonwoods are 100 feet tall.
This person behind you with.
Chairman, I apologize. My name is Zachary Tomzik. I can touch on this. I'm with the state of Patch Cross.
Are you an attorney?
I am, Your Honor. Or
Yes, I think we'd like to have heard, Mr. Magnuson, would you like to enlighten us at all first?
sure.
So if you'll have a seat, sir, we'll speak again in a few minutes.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, as I stated last time, when we kind of touched on this subject, we did develop a new zoning ordinance in 2006. I did it under the direction of the state's attorney's office to make sure it followed all notification requirements set forth in the state century code. We had open houses above and beyond even here, but that's beside the point. We did not send out individual hearing notices. Because at the time, and I don't believe we're required to now. Unless we want to do that a courtesy, but Department of One sending out 30,000 notices was financially and, you know, logistically impossible at the time, so it was made a decision at that time not to do that. So in 2006, we implemented the airfield preservation district. Its boundaries were derived specifically from accident protection zones from direct extensions of runways given to us by the Air Base and by Grand Forks GFK. So in those districts, new home is not a permitted use. Granted, it's only a few square miles in the county that have its own district and no direct extensions of it. So any existing houses in those districts are considered legal non-conforming uses, which mean they were legally constructed. However, they wouldn't be permitted today. In 2023, our definition of legal non-conforming structure was you could repair, alter, up to 50% of the current market value. Since that time, I believe it was right around 10. We amended the definition to go to 100%. So if something burned down, tornado, whatever, they would be able to replace any kind that was there currently. So I guess I respectfully disagree with some of Mr. Wilker's statements. But yeah, I mean, it's not to say that they wouldn't be able to replace what's there right now. No questions asked, they'd be able to build a permit. There are another couple options to alleviate his problems. Should we choose to go through it. As I spoke before, variance and rezoning. Both are voted on by the commission, so anybody has the inherent right to apply for one. I try to let them know what my recommendation would be before they spend time and money. In this case, I wouldn't know because my recommendation would be based upon state's attorney's advice and recommendation from the Air Base. So I don't have that information to tell them one way or the other, which I know, but again, if the rezoning and variance would allow him to rebuild something specific of what he's thinking about doing, whether they know if it's a bigger residence, so forth, or whatever. The rezoning, we have two airfield districts. One's a preservation district, one's a reserve district. The reserve district is out further. It has more latitude in terms of what can be built. A single family home can be built on an existing lot of record in that district. So if he rezoned that district, essentially, you know, I guess I feel that would probably be a problem altogether, just because he'd have a latitude to build what he wants, you know, whether it be like a home or residential outbuilding or accessory structures, private shop, whatever. So there are those options out there, but back in 2006, based on the input I was given from the commission at the base, that's what they chose to do. However, this is a different commission than 2006. So
None of us.
no, so I mean,
We know that new stuff.
I work under the direction you guys, so if you guys want to go to the direction, we go.
So is this a flight path issue? What is the issue with proximity to the airfield?
This specific site isn't right across the road from the golf course on the air base. Directly adjacent to that golf course is the main runway that comes south.
So it's a south side of Highway 2?
Yep, he has direct frontage on Highway 2, on the south side of Highway 2, across from there.
Where the golf course was.
Yep.
There.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it is within the. We just can't make up boundaries for these zoning districts, they have to be based on something, and can't be arbitrary, so. The accident protection zones we were given by the base is what we use to justify our boundaries.
Mr. Chair.
Oh, Mr. Rusted, forgot where he worked.
Yeah, if you don't mind, so here's where I'm at on this. I feel it'd be pretty reasonable at a bare minimum to right a wrong that took place 18 years ago, that with the thumbs up from the wing commander that we rezone his property to make it sellable. I don't think that a decision like that should be made to somebody's personal private property without, I mean, at a minimum, a letter or a phone call or whatever. I feel like the way it went down back in 2006 probably came like a cinder block to the face. And I forget, I think it was Ronald Reagan that once said, I'm from the government, I'm here to help. Are the worst 9 words you can, hear in your life. And I don't believe we've helped this gentleman, his wife or his family in any way, shape or form. I do believe we need to right a wrong, even though it happened long before our arrival.
All right, other questions, comments, discussion?
Okay, I think this is an issue for planning and zoning. For our committee.
Yes.
With some input from the state's attorney. If we can turn this thing around. And maybe go back to where with the assurance from the base. That they would be okay with that, so. But I think it's an issue that needs to go with the planning zoning before it comes to the board. Which Mark Rusted and myself are on that board, so.
Yeah, that's the appropriate place to get a recommendation for the rest of the commission, in my view. And especially since two, are on the board that, when you go to your meetings, that's what we need.
And we do have a couple weeks. Leeway here, get an application in for the September, because we are having a meeting in September already, so. It could be as soon as September.
Okay, so how would that proceed?
I guess a formal rezoning application would have to be made. Once that's made, then I advertise in the paper for 2 consecutive weeks. Send out, public hearing notices with everybody within a half-mile property. I guess the main thing that would hold us up is getting a recommendation out of the base. Cause I feel that's something that we need.
Definitely, yeah.
So it's pretty much based on their timeframe. We wouldn't be the ones holding it up. It would be the information we need to make that decision.
Mr. Ford, have you had any discussions with the airbase concerning this issue?
Not this specific issue, you'd start with the operations group commander for this, that's where the wing commander would send you. Mr. Magnuson's right, you make the request, and then they'll have their legal get involved.
Right.
My experience is at least a month before they'll get anything from the legal. You start with the operations.
Okay. So who would make the request to you to make the change? Would the individual property owners have to come to you with a form that you can have them sign, or what's the procedure?
Yes, Mr. Wilkerson would have to submit I can't just submit applications or anything like that. It has to come from the property owner. It requires their signature on the form, just to acknowledge that this is submitting a request. If he's interested, I did come prepared today with applications.
What percentage would be?
Yeah.
Would there be additional people maybe in the room who should also be making the request?
If they want to, send me an email or contact me, I know there's one other.
Right here.
Yeah, and they're on the very southerly edge of it. they're probably the furthest away from the base, but in a zoning district that you can be. So I don't see why it would be an issue for them either to have their property rezoned.
All right.
Okay.
Now, if we go to this other zone, 'cause I know you said it's a air reserve district,
Preservation district, yeah, or airfield reserve district.
right? How is that gonna be different from where we're at now?
Single family dwellings are allowed on, legal lots of record.
Okay, so they wouldn't need a variance to build a house.
No, that's
'Cause
why,
was the big sticking issue, was because they'd have to get a variance not only from the county, but from the airbase. You know, and the airbase could come from the whim of who the base commander is.
right,
You know, I know we're fortunate right now, we've got a base commander that's more attuned to the community,
nothing,
so.
no, the rezone, I think, would provide you with the most options and.
Yeah.
Least.
Well, then that would make my property at least marketable.
Yep.
And that would also help them be able to that would solve their problem too, I believe.
Yeah, so I'm currently trying to purchase our property from my father's estate. We've been working on it for almost 2 years.
All right, well, it seems to me that we table the issue until Mr. Magnuson can take a look at the applications or help you with an application and then go through the process. Any other thoughts or ideas?
No, I just think that this thing could be expedited through base legal. I don't know how that gets accomplished. But there isn't a lot of time here to get this done, so.
I'll help Mr. Magnuson.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
And I'll help in any way, is Mr. Ford, that I possibly can too, as probably everybody on this board is well aware of. I'm kind of a personal property rights fanatic. And so if there's anything I can do, I do have a personal relationship with the wing commander. I'm willing to help in any way I can.
all right.
Okay.
Any other comments from Mr. Magnuson, or do you want to meet with him?
Yep.
Outside of
Yeah,
the meeting room? or-
You folks wanna go with Mr. Magnus and ensure me those
We can do that.
variances or whatever. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Takes a lot of people out of the ones to stay and we can.
I've had enough fun for me. Thank you guys. Yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
The fun part?
I know.
Sorry.
We're just-
The rest of the meeting? Okay, we'll hear from Phil that. Mr. Kusager? I don't know if this, you don't have any documental nature.
Good afternoon, Chairman Egan. Hello, Commissioners, Bill Sauger. I live at 7026 17th Avenue South. And also on a property that doesn't have an address, just east of that, and this is directly west of the LM glass fiber plant.
Yeah.
And so for the last 4 or 5 years, we've had the blades going by, causing problems with basically tearing the road up, dust. And so I've talked to the township about it, expressed my thoughts and concerns, and then now just, I suppose, within the last couple months, the township informed us that the transport company that hauls these blades wants to increase the turn radius of 69th and 17th intersection. That's right where our property is. And they don't have enough room, so they want to encroach into the right of way. Which I guess I have problems with drainage the way it is, and I guess I'm just concerned that I'd end up with a wet lot and, just property value down the drain if we're gonna develop that, but so
anyway, in the process, I guess I've talked to a few different people about this issue. And right now, the blades go from their plant to 48, go to 32nd. And then they turn on 69th, and then they go to their, and they zigzag back, actually, they go past the landfill. But in the process, they have to cross the MERS and Highway 2. And, I guess I never really paid any attention to that much. Cause we're just kind of where we kind of come and go in town so. After the township meeting, I get my neighbor Jim Lunsky over here, we. Driving home and here comes a blade and they go in threes. There's never just one, they're always in threes, and then they have 2 pilot cars, so it's a convoy of stuff. So. He was driving, so we decided we're gonna follow it, and then we get to Highway 2. And not only was this stuff gonna cross, but another one was coming from the north going south. And so this kind of all happened at once, and we sat there and really couldn't believe that could happen. You know, and then, I guess it's just kind of a safety issue, that I don't understand why they can cross Highway 2 and Demers Avenue, I guess, or there's no cross, there's no lights there. And there's, you know, just a lot of issues with Highway 2 anyway. And so I guess we're just kind of looking at, some other possibilities, and in the process, I guess I found out that the highway patrol doesn't want this stuff to happen, so they will actually want them to go on the interstate.
Well, they have to travel on Highway 15 and other highways too, don't they? I mean.
Yeah, I guess I don't know where they go, but I'm sure, because some of them go south and I think most of them go south, but I don't know. I guess where they actually end up, but.
I live in Northwood and I see 2 blade convoys practically every time I come to Grand Forks. Highway 15, of course, is a state highway, plenty of space on it. Are you talking about narrower roads than that?
Oh, yeah, I guess 17th Avenue is a real narrow road that they want to come and use that. I mean, that's barely enough for 2 cars to pass each other. And then I guess 69th, that's the road that goes to the landfill and in the lagoon or whatever, so.
All paved roads?
No, they're not. And they're just, sometimes they're impassable when, in this stuff, they don't stop doing this when the frost boils are coming out, or if it rains or whatever, they just keep going back and forth.
So what is it that what remedy are you asking us to do?
Well, I guess, find a better solution to getting these things from where they're at. Obviously, their plant is in a very good spot. And then these things just get longer and longer and longer, and so they can't turn with them. And then, you know, I guess we're stuck out, you know, I guess we're in the 2-mile zone or whatever they call it, but you can't even be outside because it's just so dusty and the roads are tore up and it's just getting old. So.
Yeah, Bill, you say the highway patrol does not like the idea they're going across Highway 2.
Yeah, they like to have something different happen, and I guess,
So they haven't said anything to L&M at all about this,
that
or?
I don't know. I talked to Miss Longstead, and she's talked with a guy before about it, but I don't know if you could shed any light on that part.
Certainly, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Commissioner Ross, I did visit with Mr. Kazager about his concerns, and I also visited with the lieutenant of the highway patrol. kind of similar concerns, but from different perspectives. The highway patrol has been working with the Department of Transportation. They are concerned about the safety of these long convoys crossing a busy road like Highway 2. With that said, my understanding is state law requires a company like this to get a permit if they're going to drive along the roadway, but not if they're going to cross the roadway. So in other words, if they were to take one of these blades down Highway 2, they would need a permit from the highway patrol, which would allow the highway patrol to set some regulations about time of day and different safety precautions. Because they're oftentimes just crossing the road because they're going down this 69th street, right?
Yeah.
That Mr. Stager is talking about, they're just crossing over Highway 2, they don't need to get a permit through the highway patrol. So the state's hands are a little bit tied in that regard. When I spoke with the lieutenant from the highway patrol, he had indicated that maybe a safer route would be for them to take these blades down the interstate, just because there's more space for maneuvering and less busy roads to cross and whatnot. Some of the difficulties, however, that they have been facing is that it isn't LM wind fiber that is transporting these blades. They're manufacturing these blades and then turning them over to some transport company that apparently frequently changes. So if they visit with one company, then a short while later, that company is no longer doing the work and it's a whole new company that's doing the transportation. So it's something that is very much on their radar as well as the Department of Transportation. So I think there are a number of parties concerned. It's just what's within the ability to control here.
Well, I think they're trying to avoid the permit process, so they don't have to get a permit. And I think we should well, I don't know that we can do it, but I think, we should tell L&M Glass Fiber, because they actually are responsible for whoever transports those blades. You know, they must have a contract with these people and say, hey, you gotta get the permit, you're gonna have to use a state highway. You know, you're tearing up our township roads, our gravel roads, and we have to maintain it, not you guys. And I just think that we should get on that and tell them to, they gotta start taking the paved roads. I think it starts at L&M Glass Fiber.
Yeah, because they don't have it, they don't do anything, they're not responsible they don't come and fix anything or.
No, they don't. In fact, Mr. West can attest the fact that at 32nd and County Road 5, they take the stop sign down because they can't make the corner and then they forget to put it back up. And you know, there's already been a fatality at that intersection, so.
But Mr. Ross, isn't it unlikely that every wind farm or wherever they're going is gonna be on a state highway road or even a county state road? I mean, they're going, if they're going across Highway 2, well, that must mean they're going north.
Well, they have a yard that they store these things there.
Then
And then they go pick them up again and then come back and then they go and get on the interstate or highway or whatever.
Or rail, right?
Yeah, they put some on the rail, I guess. They have a loop that,
Sure, okay.
that's north of town, I guess, but
I'm not sure what the county commission can do to require them to do anything particular when the Department of Transportation is probably the more likely agency to handle it. What are your thoughts?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
you know, there's probably not a jurisdictional thing we can do here, but however, we may be able to yield or wield influence to some degree. You know, I think if they're going to be running them, you know, down 69th and across Highway 2, which I know the sheriff's department and the highway patrol is not fond of them crossing Highway 2 because of the safety risks. I mean, at a minimum, I think that they should pave that stretch at a minimum. Or sell your storage facility that's by the railway and move it out south and use the interstate. I mean, our gravel roads probably are not prepared to long-term handle these type of things as these blades get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Well, I think they can use I-29, and I think they can go off an old 81 north. And
Yeah, it would, you could bring.
then they're a very short stretch of gravel for them to get to their storage facility.
Yeah.
So to me, that makes more sense. They're on a hard surface road. Mr. West, who maintains that road out there?
Which one?
What is it, six? The one he's talking about, the gravel roads at 17th and, yeah,
Is a township road.
Yeah.
That the county would blade and post so forth. By contract.
okay, so you probably have to blade that more often
Oh, yeah.
because of that.
Yeah, it's on a much more.
So that's-
frequent road.
That's their expense, the township.
Correct.
So, yeah, it's,
There's problems with all this. I mean, what Mr. Stogger is saying, there's. I can't deny any of it. It's just, it's problem all around, but there's no good way to get them. From their facility to the storage yard and then they go all over the place. They go north, south, east, west, and then they're going all different directions.
yeah,
Depending on whatever wind farm they're serving. And going on the interstate's got problems too. So they're just, I've had numerous conversations, I don't know, that's what I'm saying,
They can-
I think we have,
you know, they can
Yeah.
come out of L&M glass fiber, go south,
yeah,
go on 32nd. Hit I-29, go I-29 all the way to Old
Yeah.
81 north.
yeah, but that eastbound and west, you got traffic signals in the way. And stuff,
Yeah, but they-
infrastructure, it's.
They do it going south on I-29. I
Right.
see the blades doing that,
It's a different turn,
yeah,
there's just challenges all around.
there
And then
is,
you're mixing a windmill blade in with high-speed traffic, which they do. But there's complaints with that too.
Yeah.
There's problem wherever they go. Plain and simple. I mean, I've heard complaints all
they're not
over the
dealing with
place.
it, they're not dealing with it. The landowners are the one
No.
having to deal with it and the township.
Yeah.
And they're just doing it. That's not right.
Sit and watch that stuff cross Highway 2,
Oh,
you'll
I've seen
won't even believe it.
Oh, I've seen it,
So,
yeah, it's on, I've absolutely seen it, yeah. HP's not happy about it, that's for sure. But they don't have a lot of stand on.
Well, I think they need to have a come to Jesus meeting with L&M glass fiber and highway patrol and whatever. And figure this thing out.
You think it should be the county that's part of the?
Oh, yeah,
discussion?
absolutely.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
so, as you know, you sit on the EDC Board of Directors.
Yeah.
Ellen Wind Power is a EDC client, there, perhaps that's where we start. Well, maybe we get a conversation started with LM. They're contracting with Transport Systems or whoever, just like you said, whoever, end of the year. Start there and have a discussion, it's causing constituent concerns, it's wearing and tearing and eating up county infrastructure. Bring the group together and have a conversation and start there, maybe it's all stakeholders, maybe it's HP, it's the county, it's the landowners, but I say, we start somewhere with just a conversation, maybe Mr. Lund can broker that for us.
Yeah.
there'll be the first Thursday in September, we have a EDC meeting, economic development, first Tuesday of each month. And I'm glad to bring that up with Keith Lund, who is the president of EDC, and see if they would participate, open the doors to the folks at L&M and bring them into the discussion. The county, well, county engineer, obviously, maybe the highway patrol if they're interested. See if
Mr.
there's
Chair,
at the bottom, it's. If you're trying to say we have. I'm not sure we have the legal authority to tell them where they can move their blades unless they're. In violation of road restrictions, for example, load.
Yes.
They can be held responsible or to fix what they wreck, cause if I tore up the road, I'd have the sheriff knock it at my door. And I'd have to fix it and pay for it, but even when farmers, when they do their harvesting, if they get
they bring a bunch of mud and ruin the road, they have to pay for it. And fix it, but these guys aren't doing anything, and then you can't even hardly drive on these things.
So I get
You know, so I mean, it gets old after a while.
the farm roads right around my hometown.
Yeah.
Get to be in pretty rough shape, but it's a little bit difficult to pin down particular farmers, for example. So it,
Mr. Chair?
it's here and there, yeah.
I would request that if the Economic Development Committee meeting comes to fruition, that that Mr. Lunsky and Mr. Kasager and any other affected people also be invited to that meeting so that LM can hear from them in front of the decision makers just exactly the the impacts that it's having on them.
Well, that makes sense, but we're at a beginning stage of trying to get something like that lined up, so let's see what we can get
Yeah.
started.
So are we gonna wait to have that conversation until the meeting that you said?
But
Are you gonna wait to have that conversation until your meeting? You said it's the second week in September?
I'll reach out to Keith, just a phone call and
Right,
see.
I was hoping we can get it done sooner than that, not wait
Take a look
4
at it.
weeks.
Maybe he can organize a meeting with the
Right.
stakeholders.
That would be, I would like that better than waiting another month.
The head of township board should be there too.
that meeting will be September 5th. So I will talk to Mr. Lund prior to that time and see if we can get to get them to bring LNM into a meeting with the county and highway patrol, and we'll let, if you leave your contact information with us.
Yeah, I think the township board president should also be there,
Definitely, sure.
because they're the ones that got the expense from the
Alright.
county to come out and lay the road, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Okay, Cheryl, you're up. Cheryl Lefkowski, Regular Regional Council, and Haley with you also? No?
Haley should be online.
Zoom. I see that, she's good.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I'm Cheryl Lopsowski. I'm a Special Projects Coordinator for the Red River Regional Council out of Grafton. You're familiar, I'm sure. I'm here today to ask your support of a resolution that would authorize the Regional Council to apply for a Regional Livestock Planning Development Grant. And the grant is free of charge for the Garden Forks County Commission, which should be excellent news for you today.
We always like that.
The grant was authorized during the legislative session through the North Dakota Department of Agriculture, and Haley Digger is online to give you more detail about what the planning grant will pay for, but just roughly, the resolution supports us applying for a grant that would pay a contractor to map all of Grand Forks County and highlight good, better, and best sites for either livestock feeding operations or agricultural industrial development. And so rather than me go on, I'll just ask Haley. She has a slide presentation to go through that can explain what the grant will pay for. And you have a hard copy of that, and does everybody have a hard copy?
We do.
Yeah.
All right, my apologies, I was being frugal, I printed it in black and white, the coloration on the map is gonna
It's all right.
be great, but I think you have it in your board packets as well, your slide presentation, so. And Haley, are you there?
I am. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Good afternoon, commissioners. Again, my name is as Cheryl said, my name is Haley Vieger. I am with the Department of Agriculture. I am an egg and livestock development specialist for the department, as well as a dairy inspector for the department. So today I have a presentation. If I can share my screen here with you, I can put up that presentation online for you. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So I am here today to talk to you about the Regional Livestock Development and Planning Grant Program. All right, here we go. Which is a grant program to assist counties and townships to coordinate a county site analysis in which GIS mapping is used to identify suitable locations for ag and livestock development locations. So this grant can also be utilized in addition to that mapping to help with strategic planning for updating and reviewing county and township zoning and land use regulations, which can be helpful for determining needs and wants of the county or township, whether you are more lenient or more strict, depending on your area for planning and zoning. It's more or less a tool in the toolbox, is the way I like to explain it. Just kind of identifies those sites for ag, livestock, and rural development. It also is a tool to help landowners have more information outlining options for their land or businesses to learn where their investments are going to be welcomed and wanted and fall within those zoning and natural resource recommendations. So the grant itself looks at sites for suitable locations, which include local zoning and land use regulations, state permitting requirements, and then availability to infrastructure and natural resources necessary for that development project. The grant consists of $12,000 for every county included in the application and $500 for every township included in the application. 50% is awarded up front. The other 50% is awarded at final report. We are here today with Red River Regional Council as we are encouraging our counties and townships to apply within their regional council. It's just easier to split up those funds through your regional council and less work for county personnel. We do have some resources available that have said they are willing to help with this project and have the capabilities to do so. First District Association of Local Governments located in Watertown, South Dakota. They currently are doing all 22 counties that have signed up. And we have another 15 or so counties that we are working with right now getting resolutions signed. But First District has also left some funds available within that grant funding to help counties and townships with strategic planning. Gives them a little bit more wiggle room to help them look at what their zoning is and if there's any recommended changes that they see suitable for their wants and needs. Decision Innovative Solutions is another company that has said that they have the capabilities on the GIS side. They are located in Iowa. And then Jim Hansen with the Department of Agriculture also has some capabilities to help with those projects going forward. There is some information on our website, ndda.gov. You hit divisions, regional livestock development. There is a small review of this grant. This is what the resolution can or will look like if the county so chooses to sign. You are more than welcome to use this resolution, or if the county sees more fit to create their own, they are more than welcome to do that as well. Now kind of into what this grant proposal kind of looks like, what the county gets, what the county will see. I use Cottington County in South Dakota. They are in the northeast corner of South Dakota, if you know where Watertown's out, right along that I-29 corridor. So that's kind of the area we're looking at. The site analysis itself will give you a summary of findings, the site assessment, the criteria, so land use regulation, environmental, and infrastructure. And then there's a whole section in that on research and methodology, their contact information, site characteristics, and then your development site maps, which is the big picture here. So when we're looking at site characteristics for any animal feeding operations, so confined animal feeding operations is what is short for CAFO. Those consist of county zoning setback requirements. They do not have township zoning in South Dakota. It's all done at the county level. So when they are looking at North Dakota counties, township rules apply to those that have townships on it. So then there's local and rural residences and communities, existing zoning districts, location to a shallow aquifer, access to county and state road networks, proximity to three-phase power, and proximity and capacity of water supply. The only real big difference on that ag or commercial industrial side is the proximity to rail and municipality. I do want to note that there are removed parcels from this consideration. They were either located over the shallow aquifer, so they met environmental quality issues, they didn't meet the 40-acre footprint, or maybe they weren't close enough to a road network, things of that nature. Not that they can't be added in later on, especially with water lines or road changing, but were removed from original consideration in this map. So what you will find is for CAFO or animal feeding operations, what they found in their county site analysis is 69 good sites, 7 better sites, and 4 best sites. And ag development, 22 good sites, none for better and best. So they're kind of equated out. Best is basically you can think of as a shovel-ready site, and then better and good just have a few different things, needs that need to be met. And a map like this will be put together. These individual parcel maps will be not open for public information, but the county will have access to those, or the township will have access to those for their needs. Just due to the fact that it was passed for a confidentiality act, that they were not subject to open records requirements, so that landowner property remains confidential. So what will be public information is a map similar to this, where it breaks down your townships and it'll show good, better, best sites and the number, not the exact location. And so any questions on what this GIS mapping includes?
Mr. Peach.
Haley, I do have a question. What about existing livestock operations or pork operations that wouldn't meet the criteria for this resolution?
I guess I'm not understanding your question.
Well, okay, right now where I live in Grand Forks County, there is a livestock feeding operation that is on highway, very close to Highway 32, going into Walsh County. In Grand Forks County, going west on or east on Highway 2, there is a pork production operation that is right along the highway. And I know in Nelson County, there is a dairy production that is taking place. I can't honestly say if it would be in a approved zone or unapproved zone, but these existing operations, do they have to comply with this, or are they grandfathered in?
So this is just identifying suitable sites. They already are an active site, so they've had to either go through county or township zoning to get approved for permitting, or DEQ. So this would not technically identify those sites. They're probably already a part of the map. They're as far as like a registered site for location. So they're considered in the mapping, but they aren't a site considered for new development, if that makes any sense. If they are considering expansion or things of that nature, they would again have to go through local zoning and or DEQ.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, this is a tool for planning. So the mapping and the site assessment that they're gonna be doing is what I would consider a tool for future planning. Would have no impact on existing facilities. Haley, correct me if I'm wrong, but if my neighbor was planning on building a feedlot, for instance, it would not impede that person from doing that and proceeding through the currently existing rules and regulations and processes that are in place. So this kind of, and again, Haley, correct me if I'm wrong, but this has kind of come out of the legislators' real interest in expanding our ability to see more livestock development in the state. And this just provides a background piece of information for governmental entities that can take a look and say, okay, well, if we have a company that's contacted us and say that Grand Forks Economic Development Corp gets a request, they could take a look at this map and say there are some sites that you might want to take a look at. So it's really just a tool in your toolbox for future development. Would that be correct, Haley?
Correct, Cheryl.
Because my concern is we still have a large part of agriculture in our county. And it would be unfortunate, and I know there have been certain communities that haven't been favorable to livestock or pork operations because of smell, because of whatever. But since we're in a livestock or a agricultural community, hopefully the county would still be welcoming if they could meet the criteria. Because it's economic development. It's hiring people off of farms and in rural communities, so they don't have to commute to a larger city for employment. Thank you.
Yes, another thing I would like to touch on too, just to play off of that, is the state has decided to do looking at 2 different setbacks. So Trail County is an example of that. I can see if I can bring up there. Are you seeing the Trail County Rural Development Site Analysis now?
No.
I think you did get the Trail County summary in your packet.
Yes.
So.
There we
go. So I asked, what are you requesting from us today?
All we need is for, what I would ask you to consider doing is filling out the blanks on that resolution of support. That then authorizes the regional council to apply for the grant. And the grant dollars just flow through our finance operation and out to the contractor that will do the mapping. So we're really just a pass-through organization, but because we represent the 4-county area, it's easier for Haley to work through regional councils to get the approvals from the counties. So that's.
Is there a plan to contact townships as well?
So the resolution encompasses those townships.
The contact them?
But I'm talking about, you had said in here that every township included in the application would be eligible for $500. And I'm just wondering if the townships are going to be contacted.
So I have worked with some of the township officers. They are aware of this grant. They have been big pushers for this grant. So townships should be aware. There's information on the Townships Association website as well for this grant. But the townships individually do not have to sign a resolution. They are encompassed in the county's resolution.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Rosted.
could I ask a question of Commissioner Peach? She has had some extremely intelligent questions on this. And because I'm away from the in person and out of town, I wouldn't mind if Commissioner Peach would kind of give the Cliff Notes version of what she likes / doesn't like about this before I vote, if you don't mind, Cynthia.
Sure, I don't have a problem with it as long as it's for future planning. My fear would be those existing livestock operations would be told you can't do this anymore because you're a mile from Highway 32. You can't do this anymore because the stream that goes by your yard that you may use to water your cattle is gonna end up running into a bigger river and another bigger river that provide water source for some communities. I know that's been a part of discussion in the past, but as long as the existing facilities are grandfathered in, then I don't have a problem with it.
So
Thank
right now,
you. Thank you, Commissioner Peach.
this isn't changing any zoning. It's just showing, what we did with Trail and Ransom counties, they were both a trial county, for this grant. And it's gonna show you what a mile setback looks like and a half mile setback. It's not going to alter any zoning it's just taking into consideration what the zoning is in place now. So it can, a county or township can make those rules or change rules going forward. Any existing operation, it should not affect whatsoever.
But in my experience of the livestock operations that I'm familiar with, most of them happen to be off of US Highway 2, US Highway 32, roads that are paved. Because their process of that production, if it's pork production, they raise the pigs to a certain age and then they're transported out to another facility. So obviously, they don't want to be on township roads, gravel roads per se. They prefer to be next to a highway because it's going to be an easier transport.
Yes, and most of what is taken into consideration is a blacktop road, not a township road.
I have a question about who can regulate these things. For example, if somebody wants to put a big livestock feeding operation on a quarter of land that they own. And it's gonna be prevailing wind brings the smells and all of that into a town or into a cluster of houses. Who decides whether they could put an operation in? Is it the township or is it the county?
Township.
That is up to local zoning authority, whether that be the township or county. It's dependent on where you are in the state.
We have some townships in Grand Forks County that do not allow cattle. They're not allowed to use the land in that township to raise cattle. Not many, but there are a few.
What I'm familiar with is in southern Minnesota, when I lived in the Twin Cities. They had some monstrous hog operations that made it impossible for people to be outside within a mile of the operation. So I was just wondering who can regulate that, the townships not. So a township could allow something, whether the county didn't think it was a good idea or not. Okay. So
DEQ is also involved as far as that goes, depending on the size of the operation.
okay,
As long as they do their planning, so.
Yeah.
Those.
Everything has to go through planning and zoning on the township or county level, at the local level, prior to DEQ approval.
all right, so what are the wishes of the commission? What do you want to do?
I'm gonna defer to Commissioner Peach because personally, with the information that I'm sitting on, I don't feel ready to vote on it. So, however Commissioner Peach votes is my vote.
I would move to approve the application process.
Then I'll second.
All right, we got a motion and a second, or are there any further questions or any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass, or wait,
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, so you passed the resolution and allowing the chair to sign.
Yes,
Yes.
oh,
correct.
yes, okay,
Perfect.
Sorry, I missed that.
That's all right.
all right. Okay. That is,
Thank you very much.
all right, thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Let's see. Mr. Ford, the space study, have you got a brief
Yeah.
comment concerning the space study?
Yeah, Mr. Commissioner, members, excuse me, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, just very brief. The county commission wanted to set a later date. Set a time and date for a admin services committee meeting to review and discuss the results of the space study. but the commission deferred to after more direction for the county, for the sheriff's office was decided. And a quick update on that, the RFP for the sheriff's office I will send it over to the Herald tomorrow. Commissioner Rusted, we had talked about that, and I talked with Ms. Wamstad and the sheriff, we're all good, so that'll get to the Herald tomorrow. But the commission then wanted to schedule a meeting to go through this space study, so I just wanted to bring that back to the commission to see if that was still the intent. I suppose an administrative services committee meeting to sit down and go through it. Two of the recommendations are already being taken care of, with human resources moving, and I think Ms. Nelson, you're gonna move your election equipment soon, but there's still some other opportunities, they call them, to be considered by the commission and to be discussed.
Mr. Ford,
Yes, ma'am.
I do have a question. Would a 1 hour meeting be adequate in dealing with this, or are you looking at a longer time frame?
Now, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Peach, based on what's left in the study, I think an hour would suffice. The commission's already said no to consolidating Northeast Human Services, and the commission has already said no to moving the state's attorney's office. And so I think the rest, an hour would be just fine.
I'm thinking an hour before our first meeting in September. Instead of, would have administrative services committee start at 3, and then the regular commission meeting would start at 4. If that's okay with everyone.
I would suggest 2:30, so that there can be a break in between,
Okay, 2:30, is that okay with everyone?
if that's workable.
Yeah, unless I have a planning and zoning meeting.
Mr. Chair, member of the commission, Commissioner Ross, usually it's the second meeting.
The planning and zoning,
It is,
okay,
but maybe because of what went on today, maybe it's gonna be sooner, but usually it's the second meeting of
okay,
each month.
all right.
Thank you.
So that is the,
September 3rd at 2:30.
what date is that difference?
September 3rd.
3rd.
That's school time, I gotta.
We're just gonna sneak.
I just thought of that, I'm like, oh, 2:30, I gotta pick up kids at 3, it's not a big deal, I'm just, it's already school time.
Your process.
You going back for your GED, Kim?
I am, yep, just gonna get a couple more classes under my belt.
All right, so are we setting 2:30 on September 3rd for
Yeah.
admin services?
Yes.
I'll send the space study back out again. Get it back on top of the commission's email inbox.
Thank you.
All right,
And with just I guess a little housekeeping on that, would the commission prefer that I just go through the recommendations quickly at the meeting and then the commission discuss or? Let you,
Yeah, just
I think that makes sense.
yeah,
Okay.
review of it.
okay.
and if we all keep track of the packet that you sent out,
Yeah.
you can
Great,
point out the appropriate pages as we go through it.
thank you.
Makes sense?
That's Bible.
I did not bring it away.
What? You guys are not over there?
I've got plenty more.
No.
All right.
Okay, that's all I have for that agenda item.
Ms. Nelson, you've been patiently waiting to set some dates.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I would like the early voting precincts to run Tuesday, October 29th through Saturday, November 2nd, from 10 to 6, Tuesday through Friday, and 10 to 2 on Saturday, and I need a motion for that. I can make that motion.
Does the motion include the location? Just,
At the Alarm Center.
yeah, that's, I saw that in here.
I'll second Kimberly's motion.
Okay, Commissioner Hagan, Commissioner Peach. Any discussion? All in favor of that motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah. So that's the early voting.
So the next one is an absentee ballot precinct for the November 5th, 2024 election. So I need a motion to establish the absentee ballot precinct.
So
And the
moved.
recommendation is what?
When it would be.
No, the precinct will be, it's
It will be here at the county.
here at the
office.
county office
Yep.
building, right?
Yep.
I'll second Ross' motion.
I made the
First
motion,
and second.
Kimberly seconded.
And what, Commissioner Ross, Mr. Hagan, what is the date and the?
Then, well, I just,
Starting?
November fifth is the election date. The law allows 3 days, recess days. I'm gonna see what the volume's like. Typically, it's just the day before, but I wanna leave myself open for those additional 2 days if needed.
Okay,
So just an absentee ballot precinct for the general election.
right, and when does the absentee, when can people pick up absentee ballots at this time?
The, September 26th, and I wanted to mention that as far as parking. September 26th, we're gonna have people coming to this building, to vote absentee, and you're going to hear complaints because there's no parking.
Well, I don't think I have a solution in mind for that one. What can we do?
I know what I do for meetings. I have my wife drop me off because it's such a headache.
What?
Said I know what I do for commission meetings. I have my wife drop me off because it's such a headache.
Yeah, the Lord anointed me with a parking spot out there, so that's pretty good.
Well,
I mean, is there a solution? There really isn't.
No,
Get the parking ramp done. They
Just
get
the parking lot.
let Mr.
Go
of
quick.
October,
get it done early.
Well, it's dodge chunks of concrete falling from the sky or walkaways. Is there?
Just sign a waiver before you go in. Just saying that.
so the
So
absentee,
you're trying to suppress the vote. That's what.
Here it comes, here it comes.
There it comes.
and the. I don't see a better alternative. Is there an alternative?
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
You're just saying that's gonna be probably what's coming, yeah, probably.
Okay, so do you have a motion yet?
We have a motion and a second.
Okay.
Yep.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah,
The next item is a policy that was written when we received ARPA funds and we set up sub-recipient agreements. And because of that, we had to have a policy on auditing those sub-recipients, and we don't have any. We never use this policy, and I would like a motion to rescind this policy.
So moved.
Second.
I didn't catch you with the motion. Mr.
First,
Higgins,
second,
Mr. Teach. I don't think this one takes much discussion, but hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. And
And the last item is something that, Bill brought forward to you July 30th at the meeting, and we included that in our preliminary budget of $1 million for this project, but, it's using cash. So and this contract needs to be adjusted, so I'm not asking for you to sign anything today. Ms. Wamstead has reviewed this contract and there needs to be some changes to it. So maybe if you do make a motion, that would just be contingent upon approval of the state's attorney before you do so. But the question is, do you want to spend that $1 million in 2024? Sign this agreement with them? Or do you want to take their other option, which is $20,000 a month for 5 years? It'd be about $200,000 more doing it that way.
Say we save the money and do it upfront.
And plus, we have a certain deadline to spend those funds, correct?
No, this is his money.
No, this is-
Yeah, okay, okay.
our cash is a.
Yeah,
save the money.
Yeah, save the money if we're,
I would
if
agree.
you're comfortable with that, those hours of that thing.
Bill's got a very good grasp on the parameters of these type of situations. And the fact that if he nickels and dimes his way for the next 15 years on getting these systems updated, that they won't even be supported anymore. And so I think it's incumbent upon us to make this change quick.
so is there a motion to approve?
So
Make the approval to go with the,
$1 million.
all the cost up front, one time, 1,030,600, and then sign the contract upon approval of the state's insurance.
Correct. I would agree to that.
And
I'll second.
that was your motion, Mr. Beach, motion, Mr. Higgins. Second, did everybody got it figured out? Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimously.
Thank you, that's all I know.
Okay, county administrator safe kids application.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, this is done every year. Safe Kids, Ms. Karma Hansen applies for a couple grants. One has to do with child passenger safety for children, ATVs, dirt bikes, things like that, and then heat exposure, heat stroke education. The grant cover letter, there should be two of them. It requires the chair's signature, and by the chair signing, the commission is saying, yes, these two programs provide a benefit to the residents of Grand Forks County. So would be asking for chair's signature on the two cover sheets. One should be North Dakota Heat Stroke Programming, and the other one should be the child passenger safety.
So moved.
Second,
Second, here's Mr. Ross, Mr. Hagan. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
I should have stated too, it doesn't bind the county to any match or financial obligation. The last thing I have, and Commissioner Russ said I sent you a copy of this letter today. But I laid on your desks, a copy addressed to the Director of North Dakota NGDOT, excuse me. Essentially, the letter would be signed by Chair Ingen, letter of support and acknowledgement of DOT making some short-term changes for the Highway 2 County 5 intersection, and then supporting long-term changes of that intersection. So I'd be looking for commission approval for Chair Ingen to sign the letter.
So moved.
Second. Oh, we do our figure
For-
scissors.
for discussion, I think it's important to,
Second by
Miss Peach.
Commissioner Pete.
for discussion, I think it's important to point out that Mr. Ford has burned some midnight oil on this project on behalf of Grand Forks County, city, and anybody else that happens to travel that intersection. And he's been compiling some letters. Him and I have worked together pretty hard to try to rally the troops on this. And so I want to place a feather in his cap publicly about the work that he's done on this project. And I very much appreciate it from a personal level.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr.
Right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's passed. That it?
Oh, yes, that's all I have. Sorry.
Okay. It's turning.
I have nothing for the board, thank you.
Any reports? Commissioner Rosted, you're the farthest away. Tell us.
No, I have nothing. MPO, I believe, is tomorrow, so I'll have some good stuff for you next time.
All right, Commissioner Ross?
Just the jail's moving along. They're talking about moving these construction meetings to every other Tuesday instead of every Tuesday, because the one today lasted 15 minutes. So there's not a lot of changes or anything going on, so just running through the timeline on how things are moving along, so. Things are looking really good. I am gonna go to this deal on Thursday night, the celebration and dinner party for intern Grand Forks summer.
Yes, yes.
Are you going?
I am not sure yet, I have sick baby.
Okay, so I did RSVP.
That's
Other than that,
a,
that's it.
that's a program the county has utilized a few times.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I currently have nothing. I have 2 meetings tomorrow, so I'll have lots of great stuff next.
Excitement tomorrow, good. Yeah. Commissioner Peach?
The Grand Forks County Zone meeting met today, things are looking good. They're almost full capacity. And in eligibility, they have no openings, which is very ironic. They have 3 vacant openings in CPS One will be filled within the next week, and they have 2 openings, so getting to 100% full employment will be very exciting for them. CPS cases are down, what else is there? Foster care numbers are down. They just recently had 7 children that were in permanent foster care get adopted by some families. And there are about 50-some children across the state waiting for adoption, and they figure with I think 50 in the county. And with the quick work and help with Karma Hansen, they feel that those should be able to be accomplished by the end of the year. So that'll be wonderful for those children and for those families that are up for adoption. The Airport Authority Board is also sending a letter to the North Dakota DOT regarding Highway 2 and County Road 5. Also, because of the mill issue that happened with the city, the Airport Authority Board meeting is on Thursday at 8 AM. And Mayor Brochenski and the chair of the city council, Mr. Sandy, are also going to be present following the board meeting. They're going to get a firsthand view of where the construction dollars go. In response to being said that we blow money, and we're going to show them where there is concrete that's necessary because we have heavy aircraft equipment that lands on. So usually everything that is done with a construction project is warranted both by the Federal Transit Authority, by the federal government, and by the state government and other transit authorities. So I don't think there should be a worry that money is being mishandled at the airport. It's a very important infrastructure for our county. And if it weren't for the Grand Forks Airport, we would see less usage or less numbers at the University of North Dakota. Less people coming in because oftentimes business people don't want to land 65 miles away from the community they're going to go to, and then worry about how am I going to get back and forth. And so I think it'll be a very productive meeting. That's all I have.
All right, and I have nothing from last time, so. Where are we? Are we done?
No,
Almost?
do you have anything else? Correspondence?
I just lost my key. Here.
I'll second.
We're unfinished business. All right, just wanted me to ask.
I'm fully staffed. I should have said that too. Great job.
Oh, really?
Yeah, good job. Since January.
That's
I've been
exciting.
working, so she just started yesterday, so.
Oh, great, thank you. That's good to hear.
Yes.
Right, then we are at item 19.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Jeff.
All in favor?
I.
Thank you, everybody.
No one wanted to stay till 6?
Stop it.
And he's so.
Green don't like